Welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast all about video games and craft beer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, alongside this week, Lucy.
Hello.
Hey,
Next generation, we're here. It's the future now.
Ooh, it is, mate. We're going to talk about that tonight. That's something I want to talk about. And just to below, you know, where our crotches are, is that all?
Well, I mean, thanks for that intro, fam. Real enjoying that particular.
I was trying to work out where you would be in my body, and it's like, well, it just sat on my lap.
Yeah, that's fair.
It is episode 237.
And you can tell.
Let's open some beers. Lucy, you've already mentioned to us you are on one beer this evening. Why don't you crack it? Let's know what you've got.
Yes. As you lot may have seen, it is an Arbor.
Yeah.
It's a Cafe Creme.
Ooh, lovely.
Coffee and chocolate stout.
Nice.
440ml can. Not happy about that. I like the tall boys, but
what? A 440ml Arbor. I know they did that for their what was that? Tinny the Welder.
Yeah. I've seen it on a couple.
Yeah, first time I've seen it in a 440ml can, but 6.9%, so makes it less.
Okay. I remember years and years ago when we were starting out up to X number of triple digit episodes at least. Before Wiper and True Canned, they were bottling, and in Bristol they used to put out beers in 500ml bottles. And then over the rest of the country, it was 330ml bottles.
Yep.
So maybe you
just alcoholics down in Bristol.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah.
You're not
Are
wrong.
Arbor taking a leaf out of that book? Are they starting to put out smaller beers? I hope not.
Yeah, me too. But
you want your hint of Arbor.
Yes, what my hint. 6.9%. Luxurious oatmeal stout brewed with a freshly ground coffee and roasted cacao nibs.
Ooh,
nice.
That's it. Yeah, that's it really. I've had this before, and it's nice. So spoilers.
Good. It's better than the water you've also got next to you or something. Aadil, what are you starting off with this week?
I am starting out with the White Hag Dark Druid. It's a chocolate orange pastry stout.
Oh, I've got that in my cupboard.
I guess I could have let you know. Oh well.
Why would you want to do that?
The Dark Druid would cut the mistletoe that grew on the oak tree and give it as a blessing. Oaks were seen as sacred, and the winter fruit of the mistletoe was a symbol of life in the dark winter months. This is the third of the Dark Druid series of pastry stouts, where orange, milk chocolate, and a splash of vanilla combine with a slightly roasted finish to give you a rich, silky stout. It's 5.5%. Comes in a very Halloween-y festive orange can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 330ml, like tiny can, smaller
like
than even the Arbor.
70s wallpaper.
Yeah. Or like, kind of like candy corn in a loop.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But yeah, so it's an even smaller tin than Lucy's reprehensible 440.
It is reprehensible.
Well, I'm gonna match you, Lucy, on the old 440ml. But I'm gonna up the stakes a little bit. I'm going for the higher percentage for my first beer because my second beer is a stout. So my first beer is a triple IPA at 10%. It is the North Brewing Company and Deya collaboration beer.
Nice.
Starting off with a triple.
I know. I had a few in the cupboard. I'm like, what do I do? Do I have an 8 and a 10, a 9 and a 10? Like I said, maybe
I enjoy your choice. Is all.
Almost everything I picked up from the bottle shop last time was just high alcohol beers. It's just what I was drawn to
Might as well.
at the time. Yeah, with the there's no sun anymore, even during the day. So just drink.
Nobody's driving anywhere. It's fine.
That's very true. It's very true. It gives me ingredients which are barley and hops, lotus, Idaho 7, and citra. It's also got oats, dextrose, and yeast. That's it. As I said, 10%. Not much of a crack to the can. But oh well, we'll come back to you, Lucy, for the Arbor.
Did we? Oh yes, I was about to say, did we do a deal? I was like, yeah, the White Hag, Lucy. Where are you being?
Yeah. I even have flavor text.
Yeah. I don't know where my mind is. Anyway.
No one has a mind. Minds are fiction.
Yes.
Trust me, I'm a philosopher.
Yeah, it smells very nice. Very nice dark chocolate and coffee aroma. Yeah, looks good too. Nice frothy brown head as well. Very nice. Well, right off the bat, I should let it warm up a bit more. Literally just out of the fridge. But even that being said, yeah, still getting lovely, deep, rich coffee flavors. Nice. It's nice and it's not thin, but it's not heavy. It's got a nice bit of mouth coating, like body to it, and as well. But it's not too heavy, but it's not too light at the same time. So, it hits that. Okay, this is 6.9%. It's not going to be a imperial stout or anything. It's not going to be as thin as a porter. It hits that nice middle ground where you're satiated enough with the body and the thickness, but yeah, it's not like I'm going to be nursing it all night because it's just dense and heavy. But yeah, it's still even without that viscosity, it still has that nice warmness to it and the nice comforting chocolatey base to it. So yeah, lovely dark malts, lovely dark chocolate taste.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good. I'd say this is probably one of the better beers that I've had, where it's like, okay, we're going to go for a slightly lighter ABV, but you're still getting all those traits of a stout that you want from this. So yeah, that's a cracking beer.
Brilliant.
Very much like this.
Yeah, it was another hit from Arbor, which seems to be almost every beer they produce.
Yeah,
really.
Pretty much. It's not surprising in the least.
No. Where did you pick that one up from?
This got bought for me. It might have been from Marks and Spencer.
I was just wondering if it's one of those beers.
Yeah, Marks and Spencer.
Yeah. Good. Nice. Aadil, we'll come back to you then for the Dark Druid.
So initially, right on the nose, you're getting. So actually, it poured quite well. With almost no head, it never really recovered. Like it just looks like a cola almost, like even less than a cola, flatter than a cola. It has a quite a sweet, surprise, orangey chocolate notes on the nose. Kind of like a I want to say it's like a knockoff of Terry's, like not too deep in the orange and kind of a weak chocolate. That's not to say like it smells cheap. I'm just saying those are the level of the notes are there.
It's like a Jerry's.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, you got a Jerry's Choco Orang, do you? Oh dear. Orang. I'm such an idiot. Sorry.
Comes in a hexagonal box as well.
Yeah.
Green instead. Did it? I don't know whether with the ingredients. Did it say it had any like orange oil in with it?
Oh.
I know. Some of the sort of the chocolatey orange beers that I've had previously. It's kind of one of those things to look out for because I know Terry's chocolate orange is orange oil. Isn't it? Rather than like
that's why it's so strong, but also doesn't really taste like any orange you've had. It just tastes like orange because the oil comes from the peel, I think, rather than the meat of the fruit. It has water, barley, hops, lactose, chocolate, vanilla, orange, yeast.
Okay.
So I definitely detect that the sweetness coming from the lactose. Also, as soon as it said vanilla, I was like, that is the missing bit from the nose that I couldn't quite figure out. It's really, I mean, it's a 5.5%. It's got enough of a mouthfeel to kind of coat your mouth. So that's nice. Very low carbonation's a little odd. So like the texture's beery, but again, kind of flat. And then that orange, even though it's lower down on than some of the other things, is just a stronger ingredient. So you're getting just this, and again, kind of like you were saying with the terries, it's just this like orange forward taste, but I couldn't tell you what kind. Somewhere around navel orange, less sweet. Like I really feel like the sweetness is coming a little later with the malty flavor and again probably from the lactose. So you just have this sort of not quite tart but not sweet orange, just like again orangey orange coming forward. I also think like Lucy, mine's a little too cold. Just because I took it out of the fridge and I sort of forgot because I was having conversation. So I went down early to take it out, then didn't take it out, then took it out maybe 10 minutes before we started recording. So just a little, it's a little cold, even just gripping it. So I'm hoping maybe some of these tastes will come out a little more as it warms up.
Yeah, cool.
How's yours?
Good. It had a hell of a nose. I said I had a weak crack on the can, but actually as soon as I opened it, that nose wafted up this lovely, really deep tropical fruit nose with a little bit of dankness, maybe a little bit of grass in there as well. It has subsided a little bit. Maybe I've just got slightly used to it, but it is lovely. It's very deep in colour. The head was very frothy when it was there. Has dissipated reasonable amount. Oh, it's got a lovely thickness, viscosity to it, and those. It's chewy as well. It's definitely chewy, and it is dry, but it's not. It's not drying, so I don't feel like my mouth is dried out. That it just is kind of, because it's chewing, it's a little bit more viscous. It brings a bit more of a dryness to it as well. But flavor-wise, it does match the nose quite well. So it has a little bit of those tropical fruits in there. And then does have that dankness to it, but there's a little bit of a floral note. A little bit of citrus in there as well. Just kind of almost sitting apart from everything, and it might be in there, and it might be being caused by the alcohol. There is a sweetness too, which definitely feels like it's coming from the alcohol, and it's one of those flavors that hits the back of the mouth. You know, it is that alcohol-y flavor. That's where you're getting it right at the back. I don't know whether that floral note in there is from the combination of what they put together to hide a little bit of that alcohol, or it is just what is being presented along with this 10%. But it gets less chewy the more you drink it. Definitely becoming a little more accustomed to it. Viscosity, the body stays there though. You're still getting that. And it coats the tongue quite nicely because of that viscosity as well. So whilst it's drying out, the flavour does linger. And that dankness becomes this, a bit more of a grassy kind, a bit more of an earthy bitterness than, say, sort of towards that piney kind of end. And that is the kind of the lasting flavour, really, alongside that floral alcohol that I'm getting in as well. But it doesn't, like, the alcohol doesn't give me much of a burn at all. The bitterness isn't super high on it. The fruit in there gets to do kind of what it wants to, whilst being a little bit creamy as well. So it doesn't smash you in the face with with flavor, with bitterness, with alcohol. It packages it all quite nicely, and you can tell that it is a bigger beer, and it is one that I will sip rather than knock back, which we tend to do with those kind of 6, 7 into the 8% kind of beers. You know that this is a little bit more, but it's not too much. It is a nice, easy drink that I can that I can sit here and sip, basically, which is great.
Yeah.
I can just lounge.
Nice. Especially at, what was the percentage again? 10?
10, yeah.
Yeah. Ben's going to be quiet the second half of this podcast.
Possibly. Do I get my topic out of the way first?
Sure.
I think you should.
All right, okay. So, I want to talk about next gen, right? But the idea that things have now come out. Consoles have released. The Xbox Series S and X released today on the 10th, which is the Tuesday. And I've seen lots and lots of people posting their pictures of them. Like, hey, look, here it is. Here's a box.
Yeah.
It's been delivered. And then also on the
Xbox.
Yeah. And then on the other side of things, lots of people posting that their this is for America. Lots of people posting that their PlayStation 5s have been dispatched and are on their way to them, because I think they come out Thursday on the 12th. Or maybe even, it's definitely the 12th. And then for us here in the UK, it's not until next week, until the 19th. So
really?
a week later. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wondered, we're bombarded with these kinds of things all the time, right? Here's my new console, here's my stuff. And I wanted to kind of pose the question, because I know none of us have got any of these consoles and are not getting them in, at least the next bit of time. Do either of you feel kind of left out on that? I know we talk about games and like the hype train and those sorts of things, but I just haven't felt it at all with these.
It's because it's just a box, or a router, or a fridge, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's like no exciting game that's day one launch that the zeitgeist is like, oh boy, this thing's amazing. And even if it was, I think I'm for the most part past that in general. But
all three of us, without putting words in your mouth, Ben, we're not the FOMO people.
I mean, but I think like when Cyberpunk comes out, if I don't get that week one, I will feel it because I'm excited about the game. If it ever comes out,
you want that game, it's not something where it's like you've not wanted it, and then people start talking about it, and then you want it.
Yeah, but I think this is even more so with hardware, because it's like, well, why is the PS5 exciting? PS5 games. Why is the Xbox exciting? Xbox games. Cool. PS5, Xbox. What are the games? Oh. I mean, I might get some FOMO if people are like, that demo disc is the best platformer ever made. Who would have thought that controller is amazing? And by that I mean I'm like, that's weird. I'd like to try that one day. But that's, I think, and that's like predicated on people saying these things, then I might feel some FOMO. And even then I don't think I will. But no, I think it comes down to hardware is just hardware without software.
Yeah, I think it also contributing to that is that a lot of these games are on current hardware. But I woke up this morning, seeing everyone like, next generation and stuff like that. I was like, cool, I'll go to the store on the Xbox console. I was like, Assassin's Creed's out. Didn't know that. Call of Duty's out Friday, apparently.
Oh,
cool.
really?
Yes.
And then I was like, let me download Tetris Connected, Affected, whichever. I was like, install now on Game Pass. It's like, cool, I like Tetris. Let me install that. Ooh, Jedi Fallen Order is now out on EA Play.
Yeah.
Which you only get if you're an Ultimass.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll try it, that jank fest. for free.
Yeah,
Why not?
I can see you bouncing off that one a little bit, but yeah, try it out. It's there. It's there.
Planet Coaster is out or something, and
Just come out on consoles. Yeah.
Out on
What a terrible thing
Game
for
Pass.
consoles.
Yes, I'm probably not going to play that one, but the point being, all these shiny new games are out, and it's like I can enjoy them on Game Pass. I'm fine. I'm like, I've got hundreds of games, all on this nice brand new not brand new, but newish Xbox, which runs really well, and I play the games that I have, and that everyone else can enjoy as well on their shiny new hardware. But yeah, and I think it's like the games are available on current hardware. Also, we're gonna get these eventually, so it's like it's not like, oh, you can never have this.
Yes.
It's just oh, I'm gonna wait until it makes sense. Until the value proposition is there.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I was thinking like the appeal to me about those consoles are just like fast loads and quick resume. But then I was like, I heard that Xbox doesn't have quick resume enabled for all the games.
Wait, what?
Oh.
They will in time. It's just that
yes, yeah, just not at the moment.
Because it's coming in hard both of these consoles, or they don't have it. And PlayStation doesn't even have that feature. Plus, both of them, you can only run games off the SSD. New games, that is, I should say. New games off the SSD. PlayStation doesn't have yet a option where you can move games onto an external hard drive.
Yeah.
An Xbox, you're going to have to switch between, external hard drive, which is what I do now. I've got a 3 terabyte Samsung hard drive, external. But I don't know how quick it is moving those things, and also, like that 3 terabyte hard drive plus the one on the One X are both full of Game Pass games. So it's just like I've already maxed out 4 terabytes, so the one is really not gonna, do me. So
right,
the things that seem appealing right off the bat without any games, I'm sure Sackboy and everything will be cool, but those 2 features are not even like well implemented, and they probably won't ever be, considering you have to stick in, an external hard drive or the Seagate expansion card and such. It's just like, I'm just thinking, what's the point? What's the point? I'll get one eventually, but yeah.
Ben, do you have any notions of FOMO, having brought it up, or are you just surprised that you don't?
I'm surprised I don't. I've looked at a couple of reviews more and seen a few people's kind of comments on these things, more to see kind of what the how the new tech works natively. And I watched our friend MC Fixer go through the Series X and showing some of the features, showing how quick it was and that sort of stuff. And I've read a few things about the DualSense pad for the PlayStation as well, and kind of how that is being implemented, and that all seems really cool. And there's lots of stuff, like you say, Lucy, lots of cool tech and lots of cool features at the moment, which are cool, but aren't things that I need at the moment. And yeah, okay, it would be great to go back to The Last of Us Part 2 with the with DualSense and get that feedback, get the haptic feedback kind of working through those sorts of things, and that sense of sound that they were, this big notion of like 3D sound, or I can't remember exactly what they call it. Is it like Titan or something like that? Yeah.
Sony ears.
Sony ears.
Sony ears.
They send these little things that sit over your ears instead of your ears, like big cones on the side that come with the console. So I could do that, great, but I'm not going back to The Last of Us at the moment.
I can just imagine like Mark Cerny putting you in like a dog cone. Like all the sound's gonna reverberate around this dog cone.
That's it. It's not even a new console. It's just a big cone. That is the PlayStation 5. You just get a different sound from your PlayStation 4.
Maybe the faceplates come off, and then they turn into one of those cones. Maybe that's the secret
You
feature.
can take his face.
Nice. Always good.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things, but like you say, Lucy, the games are still coming. I'm looking forward to Spider-Man. That's coming out on PS4. I should be getting it on PS4. Is Horizon coming to PS4? I can't remember whether they said it was or not.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I think that might be one of the games that may push me a little bit, but that's not until next year. So I'm fine. Yeah, exactly. I'm fine until the new year, if not towards the spring at some point for kind of getting one of these. I can't see anything at the moment which is really pushing me, and being a relatively new kind of Game Pass subscriber on PC and only being able to get the kind of games on PC that come. There's plenty of other ways for me to play third-party games, on the PlayStation 4 still, on my PC through other platforms.
Yeah.
But I don't need the Xbox, even the Series S, kind of that baseline thing, to get console exclusives, because the Xbox exclusive games are still coming to PC Game Pass anyway, kind of day and date. So it just there isn't. I mean, Xbox have done their job in the last year of getting me to sign up to their subscription service.
Yeah,
that's all they want.
And that's ultimately what we've seen from from their presentations that they made, even from E3 last year. It seems that is what they want. They want people to get into their ecosystem kind of through Game Pass. Great if they pick up the hardware as well. Great if they can cloud stream and they have Ultimate and they can do it in that kind of way. They want you to be within their ecosystem, and that might, as we've got with some technologies which have lowered in value. So whether you get like a Chromecast or something like that, and it goes in this room, and then you have it in this room, and you have your Google Home Nest or Hub or whatever that's called, and it does your lights, and it does this, and it does that, and everything then becomes integrated. Microsoft are thinking maybe the S could sit in another room. Is it kind of a box to sit in the bedroom or in your kids' room or something like that? And actually, your stuff is all linked anyway, so they can still play the same games that you've had to purchase. It's just another box for other people to be able to play on. And the same now, which we've seen with a random app that appeared on the PS4 for everybody, that you can stream your PS5 to your PS4. So if I bought a PS5 and I put it in my lounge, I could have my PS4 sat here next to my PC, and I could stream from my PS5 to my PS4, right? Who knows if that works better than the Remote Play app onto the PC? And it might be great for people that stream but want their PS5 in a different room and those sorts of things, or again, that want to keep a PS4 for their kids or something like that, but still allow them the option of playing the PS5. All of these things, these accessibility really things are fantastic, but again, there's no need for me to get the next console to use those.
Yeah, because my whole thing now is like just convenience. Like I bought a PC earlier this year, and it's just really more where I work rather than game now, even though it's a gaming PC. So it's like if I wanted to play all the shiny, next gen games in the best place where they're going to run and stuff like that, I'd play them on PC. But I simply don't. I usually play them on Xbox. And yeah, it's really good to hear that, like, Xbox have been doing it for a while. That it's probably why I'm more in that ecosystem, just because of convenience and the way how I could make money off playing games as well. Microsoft awards, but it's really good to hear that Sony are following suit and making things more customizable, more accessible, just making things easier. It's like
absolutely.
It's the year 2020, like playing games on different, like playing with your mates shouldn't be that hard. Like having to buy, the same hardware or something like that, or transferring saves, transferring, account information, whatever it is, nothing should be that hard. It's like it's 2020.
Yeah, and Sony have been making those moves very, very slowly. I think I had my PlayStation profile, Nova_47, was a sub account to my brother's master account when we first got the PlayStation 3.
Right.
And it has only been in the PlayStation 4 generation that I was able to upgrade that to a master account and then be able to buy games through that account. I had to set up a completely new master account, set that as my primary for that account, set that as a primary for my other account. I could then buy games on the master to then play on the one that I wanted it to, which had all of my other games that were already associated with it, had my trophy score and all of that sort of stuff associated with it. And suddenly I'm now in a position where I'm like, well, now I'll make this one the master account. That sort of stuff. Great.
Yeah.
But why was it like that in the fucking first place?
And why were there all these hurdles? Yeah.
Why Insomniac have turned around now and said, yeah, we've now worked out, or we've done something. We've pressed a button, which means you can take your save game from from Spider-Man to the PlayStation 5 version of Spider-Man. And everyone's like, "Wait, thanks for letting us do this." It's like, no, this should have been just.
Yeah.
Like, if it was actually that easy, then it should have just been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they've still got a little ways to go, but it'll, and I'm glad, like backwards compatibility is there with PS4. It's like, look at they've had their hand forced a bit, but that's why it's good to have competition. That's why it's good to have free console makers in the space.
Agreed, yeah.
Imagine if it was just Nintendo.
Oh no.
One new Mario and one new Zelda every 5 years, and then just re-releases of SNES and NES games.
They burn like in Mission Impossible, when you get the mission information, it just disintegrates in your hand after.
I made a reference to that earlier this week as well.
You'd go onto the store and it would go, "Have you played Bobble Bobble? Have you played the remastered version?" Like, yes, we played these games.
Yes. You don't have a save for it. You have no save for it. You didn't buy this on the last 6 consoles because you had to set up a new account for this new device.
I mean, the one nice thing about Nintendo is their online is so incompetent. They're definitely not like profile shaping you to like psychologically put games in front of you that they'll think you'll buy, because they just obviously can't figure that out.
They just do that in different ways.
Yeah, they just do it in global ways.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And I think a lot of this, like what we're seeing in these changes and these accessibility options and these upgrades, these sorts of things, are very much down to the team behind Xbox and Microsoft.
Yep.
I can see that we had this kind of almost mass exodus from PlayStation about 2 years to 18 months ago. That kind of people started to leave, like Andrew House and Jack Tretton went a little bit before that. And what's the guy's name that I'm blanking on that went recently? Sean Layden, yes, and him as well. And now we're left with people who haven't always had the best track record of being open and upfront and innovative. People like Jim Ryan, who aren't always the best at putting the message across. And whilst they do have, like Mark Cerny, great to be that, the driving force behind the design of a new console, again, gives dry presentations. He's not that person to come out and try and push like the social aspects, the accessibility aspects, those sorts of things. He's focused more on the console itself, and the other people around him should be supporting him in terms of the messaging and those sorts of things. And we're suddenly going, oh, the PlayStation 5 can do this. Like, why didn't they tell us that when they knew that it could do it.
Yeah.
And I think there's big props to the team at Xbox for the way that they kind of turned around last generation and have moved into this new one as well. And I think they're kind of very good at innovating in the services and the systems.
Yeah,
to
that's
push
why.
everybody else and try and pull them all up to par, basically.
Yeah, that's why I do majority of my gaming there. Like Sony, well, not Sony. PlayStation is very much like vinyl record. It's like you have this nice vinyl record, prestige in its sheath, cracking out the vinyl record player, and you're just gonna have a nice evening with your whiskey and your cigar, like your beer last week or whatever it was, Ben. I'm just gonna relax with that. Whereas Xbox is just like, just let me download it off LimeWire with some porn or something like that and play it in 5 minutes and be done. Have it on all my iPods.
Perfect. I've stolen all your data in that time as well. Don't worry about it. It's fine. We're only shaping ads at you. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Congratulations to Xbox and PlayStation on
absolutely
doing this in a pandemic. So fair play to them.
True. Yeah, that's fair.
It definitely feels like there was a lot more fanfare as well with the last generation when the consoles kind of released.
I think they have. I mean, part of it is pandemic. Part of it is just software. Again, I'm gonna keep banging that drum. There were launch titles. There were like launch titles.
There was a lot of launch titles. Yeah.
And like they might not have aged well. That's a different thing. Oh, well, there we go.
But they were there.
But they were there, and they had hype, and different studios were able to use their own hype trains to push the console. And this time around, even without COVID, it was like a year ago, we still didn't know like huge, big launch titles that would like possibly excite us.
To be fair,
could you imagine how many units the PlayStation 5 would have sold if The Last of Us Part 2 had been a launch title?
Right?
Yeah. That would have been a system seller for sure. I'm sure Spider-Man will, because I think most people will think, oh, that's a new game, not just an expansion. So
yeah, that is true.
I think it's also because last generation, it was long. It was like 8 years for Xbox, 7 years for PlayStation. Whereas this one, it's felt much more stilted with the Pro and the One X coming out. So maybe that's definitely why I'm not as infused about it. If I still had launch hardware, God forbid, the VCR or even the S, I'd be like, yeah, give me that new console. But no, it's just like I'm good.
Yeah. It has made me consider getting a PS4 Pro. Like, do I make that?
They're still expensive now, aren't they? They're like £300. Yeah,
they probably are. And I'd probably just be well placed just to save the extra £100. And you've got to imagine this Black Friday coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Pros and the PS4s are going to be reduced quite significantly, especially with that PS5 digital version being like £360.
Right. Yeah.
Because I was looking at it, because my friend was like, do you think the price of an Xbox One is going to go down in the next couple of weeks? I was like, yes, of course, Black Friday and stuff like that. But I said to him, like, why don't you get that one that looks like a speaker box when you drive up to a drive-through? Because I looked at the price, it's £250.
Yes.
And it does like upscaling, and fair enough, it's only got like 2 gigabytes of empty hard drive, but you can play Peggle on that, that's all you need. Tetris Effect is 4 gigs. So I was like, bang for your buck. 4 gigs, 4 or 5 gigs, yeah.
There's so much going on in that.
You'd think the audio files is like probably 10 gig of them.
Yeah.
I think if I was going to recommend one to most people who are like, I hate using the word casuals, but casuals. I'd just be like, get that Xbox One S. Yeah, I don't think.
I think it's also like for budget conscious people.
Yeah, and it's like if you're only going to play like Madden or something, or are you going to check out 1 or 2 Game Pass games a year?
Yeah.
250 quid. That's ridiculously cheap for
I'm
what that thing can do.
not sure
Crazy.
the new Madden's going to fit on the S, though, is it really? Like, you see
The new
NBA
Call of
2K, NBA 2K was like, and the new Call of Duty is like 150, 160 gig.
To be fair, though,
absolutely fucking nuts. Like,
most people who play these sports games play these sports games.
That's true.
And like,
yeah, and they won't have much else.
The 1S is like the Madden box. It's got Madden and space for Peggle.
Yes.
That's
What
good.
else do you need? Really?
Yep.
You'll get Plants vs Zombies on there as well, just to see if you can just max it.
They made an HD remaster, so it doesn't fit anymore.
It's on EA Play. I was looking at what's on EA Play.
E-Play.
E-Play. I guess even with this, you know, are they going to start leaning more into that kind of like that cloud gaming as well with the S? It becomes that, you know, really good box if you're paying for Ultimate and you can cloud game and do it on that S. The memory doesn't really matter that much.
Yep.
You just start playing it.
If Cloud Play works, then yeah, there's no reason to get an X if you have the right pipeline.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
See that being an avenue, because a lot of the games that they put on Game Pass now are launching day and date as well with Android, and they
are.
like
yeah.
Android controls in these games. It's kind of crazy the amount of work that they're doing, and how Microsoft as a company, I mean, they must see the future as gaming, you know. So you wouldn't have said.
I mean, it's a bigger industry than Hollywood, right? They've known that for a while. I think the key is, I mean, there's also that's also why, although we make fun of it, that Stadia is a proof of concept that Google can afford to do, but doesn't understand video games, which is why they just didn't make an impact. They didn't understand how much old games on your system won't sell it, especially in a isolated ecosystem. But like, what they were selling was, and a lot of people said, like, you can play it. It feels like you're streaming something, which is weird. And they all will have this problem, I think. Although, when you think about it, like, Netflix is now good enough. You have a decent connection, right? Like, you no longer feel like there's, like, the window thing that people complain about isn't there. So it's only a matter of time before we get, like, latency times and whatever you need to get that window-like feeling off of Stadia and cloud computing and even PS Now. And I totally understand what people are saying, right? Like, even streaming, like, from 2 points in my house with, like, PS Now, you could tell, like, I am streaming this, and it wasn't always just bitrate or, like, artifacting. It was like this notion of the window. And that will go away because we know it has already, because streaming videos used to be this kind of janky thing. But like, absolutely. I can't tell the difference between playing a video file at 1080p on my computer and streaming Netflix, same file. Like they've figured that out in a way that it used to be, yeah, we could stream that movie, but it will look worse because I was streaming it. And it right, and now it's like, oh, no one thinks that about movies, but we used to, like 10 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago even, it was like, yeah, I'd rather download it because I just, like, it's a big blockbuster or whatever. I'll download it. I'll wait for the day that it takes to download a movie. And because I want to watch it properly, quote unquote, and that's not a thing.
Yeah, I think the reason why I didn't find Stadia when I used it for that Gods and Monsters game, Ubisoft's thing for a demo, is because I didn't realize, like if I want to play a game, I don't have, like, data caps or anything like that. I have access to the internet. I have a PC and Xbox and stuff like that. I have tons of, well, not anymore, but tons of hard drive space. But for people who just, like, the barrier of entry is a console, a expensive console, for them just to, like, just go to their browser and just launch a game, that must be amazing for them. Where it's like, for me, it didn't wow me or shock me because I'm just I'm already in the space, and it's like
Fully, yeah.
for people who don't have that.
I mean,
Yeah, just pick out their phone and play Gears. That's incredible.
I've been playing games in browsers for years, since about the year 1998.
Yes,
I mean,
but they're all going away now.
Flash games.
Flash
Yeah,
is dead.
Flash is dead at the end of the year.
Yeah, somewhere. There's definitely somewhere that I've read that is
Archiving.
taking kind of like all of the Flash games and basically like archiving them essentially. So there is still somewhere for them to exist.
Problem is, a
Which
lot
makes
of
sense.
them have copyrights or whatever,
Yeah,
and so you can't archive them without permission. So then you're either archiving them and keeping them private just in case.
yes.
Or whatever. We might actually, maybe later in the year, actually in December, we should do an episode on our favorite Flash games.
I wouldn't remember the
Flash
name
dying.
of any of them.
Yeah, but you could describe them at least. I think that's half the fun.
It'd be like Quap.
Yeah.
Samarost. Oh,
See, you
that
got
was
them.
Flash.
We have some weeks to figure it out, but I think that might be a nice send off to the ubiquity of Flash being no longer.
Okay,
Nice.
I'll dig into the recesses of my brain and try and remember which Flash game I played 20 years ago.
There's one I play with a werewolf in it. I don't remember what that was. I'll try and remember what that was. Good. A nice little topic there. Let's move on to something else. Lucy, how about you this week? What have you been up to? What have you been playing? Have you got any games you want to talk about? Any topics you want to dive into?
I'm sure me and Aadil will talk about the Falconeer.
Yes, we will, and it'll be
We
a
will.
chat.
It will be.
Another game from
played much. Played some Tetris Connected today.
Effect.
It is whatever the hell. I think it's Tetris Effect Connected. I think this has got like a colon on it, so it's like, oh, this is the Xbox version, which is, you know,
really?
Fuck's sake.
which will be available on PlayStation at some point. You know.
Because
Yeah, I think multiplayer. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. It's called something, I don't know, but yeah, it's Tetris, and I think I have I just want to play I just want to do something. I want to play something. I don't want to think too much kind of game now. And yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Tetris? But this is a very good version of Tetris. It's very, it's got all the bells and whistles on. It's pretty. It's not transcendent like people said it was, but you know, it's got a lot of music that would be played in, you know, a hipster brew pub or a, you know, on a advert
European dance party.
or that, or you know, like on the advert for Lloyd's TSB or something like that. But yeah, it's just that's all well and good. Like the music, I'm just like whatever. Yeah, but I like how, you know, it has that, you know, it vibrates the controller and it, you know, everything's like in sync with the music and the way you rotate the tiles. It's very good in that sense. Have you played any of it, Ben?
Yeah, I played a demo for it.
Yes, yeah.
Must be not even last. No, maybe it was last year, 2019, maybe.
Came out ages ago.
Yeah, I think it came out in 2018, perhaps. But yeah, I think I played a demo for it last year, and it was a game that I'm thinking, right, I'm waiting until it drops like sub 25 quid. I know what price I want to pay for this.
Yeah,
and I loved it. I love the way that the like the graphics work, and it pulses to the music, and that also reacts to kind of the lines that you hit and the way that you play the game as well. Like it all feels very reactive and works really well. But I had that kind of like, it's still Tetris, right?
Yes, it is absolutely still Tetris.
Oh, that's good.
I know that level.
Yeah, it's amazing, but not £40 worth of amazing.
Oh god,
when I can play Tetris in a browser, you know.
Yes.
I mean, not come December.
Now it's on, now it's on Game Pass. I think I will dive into it a little bit more. Give it some time. I think maybe the demo I played one level perhaps.
It's good.
Sounds,
really
but it's one level that worked up through the stages that it gives you. So it changed the background maybe like 3 times and the music a little bit and stuff like that. So it gave me enough to understand what the experience was, but maybe not quite enough for me to think, well, yeah, this is like a 30 quid game rather than a £15 game. I think when I'd set my sights on it. And I don't think it's ever.
exactly, yeah.
I don't think it's ever dropped below that. Now, where it's free.
Yes, I have Tetris 99 over here. I have Tetris Connected over here. Got 2 great Tetris experiences.
So what what is the big difference between the two?
This one's got multiplayer. I was just about to hop into a multiplayer match, but I was like, I haven't got time. So about 2 hours ago, so I was like, yeah, I'll try that out later. But
so you don't know like what its multiplayer is versus like 99?
I think that the one I quickly jumped into before I had to, do other things was like there was free players in it. I think they have like different modes. I haven't dug into it at all. Like, okay. I've probably played an hour today, and that was mostly the main journey mode, the story mode, where you're just playing Tetris.
Yeah. You are a block.
Yes.
Please be like the block, but also condemn
story
your
of
friends.
The L block. Yeah, I love Tetris. Yeah.
Okay.
It's good Tetris. And I think they have like OG Tetris in it as well. So.
Oh really?
Might play that, but I like my T-spin. What else? Stay for the Circle. I was going to mention that last week. That's a new game from the State of Play. Known for Cami, the nice paper folding one.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, it's a narrative adventure game. You're not really doing much. You're not choosing dialogue. There's this main character called Peter. He's a professor, and he meets this other professor, and the story's about their relationship. And it's also told like it coincides with like this. He's basically gone to the Arctic with this Aussie guy to do research up there. Plane crash landed. It's about him trying to find help, and it's also in like the Cold War, so it's like, oh, the Soviets, we have to be afraid of them. Soviets are going to kill us and all that stuff. So, and those 2 stories are told like concurrently. You like switching between the past and the present, and just the way that the game is directed, and it just seamlessly transfers between these 2 different time periods. It's great, and the voice acting is really good. It looks beautiful. This is all on Apple Arcade, so I'm just playing it on a phone. I'm just like, this would look really nice on a big screen. But yeah, it's very much it's kind of like a walking simulator, even though you're not even doing so much walking. It's more just a narrative tale being told to you. The only options that you do get is basically changing the way in which Peter like responds to people. It'll come up with like this certain symbol where it's like, oh, do you want to be more empathetic? Do you want to be more assertive in your position? Do you want to be like timid, or do you want to be outgoing or energetic and stuff like that? So I don't know how much that actually changes the whole narrative. I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through. It's a pretty short game. It's probably about 4 hours, but yeah, I don't know how exactly that changes it, but you're still putting your own print onto it, so that's nice.
Yeah.
And it gives you just enough interaction where it's not like you are just watching this thing. So that's the thing that I've been playing, just before bed, and you just want to relax, chill, have something that's very much passive.
Nice.
But yeah, it's really impressive. Considering like there are other games which are just like little puzzle games. And to be honest, like they did Luminosity, which was a whole papercraft world, so that was pretty impressive in itself. But yeah, this is a different direction for them, and it's good. I'm glad Apple have, they bankrolled this and just put it out on their service. Like,
I know we had a chat a while ago now about kind of like Apple Arcade and their shifting kind of business strategy, and we know that some studios that were making more single player experiences were kind of their projects were shuttered, and there was this chat in the industry that Apple wanted to have much more of a not necessarily live service, but that hook to get people back into an app every day and to revisit and that kind of stuff. And it still seems like there are these single player experiences still coming out on the service. So not everything was destroyed on that day. One Apple exec went, no, that's it, we're going to get rid of everything. They must have been actually quite picky with what they they cancelled and stuff.
I imagine we'll see the knock-on effect of that like another year in, or 2 years in, because like State of Play made so for the Circle. I think they were saying that this was 4 years in development. Obviously, this was probably in development, and then Apple picked it up. But I imagine what they've bankrolled, they probably like, oh, this is a two-year project or something like that, which is quite long for not being dismissive, but a mobile game. A lot of these things do have a quick turnaround and stuff like that. But yeah, I imagine if we'll see the effects of that a year in, or maybe. But yeah, speaking of Apple Arcade, the other game that I played was a game from Alike Studio, who have done these really nice small puzzle games. This one's called, gosh, what is it? All For You, or something like that. Their games are awful for like SEO, like
because they're just like three kind of random sounding words, like a vague phrase.
Yeah, and the last one that they did was called Love You to Bits, and it's like, what are you going to get when you search for that on Google? You're not going to get, the topic is not going to be their game, but I think it's called All For You. But you're basically, it's this puzzle game, like and you basically have this chicken. She's lost all her chicks, got to reunite them, and it's level by level kind of structure to it, and you have these like it's these circles, and each circle has a different picture. Each circle has a different scenario of this one level, and you click on the circle, and basically that advances the time within that circle. And then sometimes you can flip the circles so they're in the opposite direction. You can pause the circles to stop the time. Some circles will continue the time no matter what. So sometimes you can move the circles around. So it's sort of like the game Framed, if any of you remember that. On iOS, where you're having to change the position of these circles so that when time continues, the correct scenarios happen at the right time, in the right order, etc. So you're basically trying to get from left to right, and this chicken has to go across here. So when you're moving these circles, sometimes they're all like kind of comical, but like kind of effed up deaths. It's not like quite Rise of the Tomb Raider-ness, but it's like, this chicken gets effed up a lot of the time, like eaten by crocodiles and stuff like that. The animation's great, and it's very cartoonish, so it's not gory or anything. But yeah, it's like, imagine like a roller coaster. There's some weird scenarios that this chicken goes through, but like you're on a roller coaster and you have to, it's like Donkey Kong Country, but the rail is in the wrong place, and you have to time like the jumps and stuff like that. But it's fun. It's a level by level puzzle game. There's probably about 70 levels, about halfway through. Just something, just something to play as a time waster, but still getting enough substance from it. But it's really nice animation, really nice art style. It's very much in the vein of the other games that they've done. Same structure, same weird, absurd things that are going on. But yeah, I like their games, and it's like I would have bought this full price. So I feel like it's still trucking along. Disagree.
A good recommendation that you would have bought it at full price.
Yeah, I mean, if people can still do that free trial, there's a lot to play in there. They haven't done it before, but yeah, even if you're paying like £5 and just run through like 20 games,
right?
Well, then you could do that in a month, but yeah, it's worth it just for that. Like, I'd turn it on and off again.
Yeah,
for that month. So, other than that, just I restarted Disc Room because I just wanted to like play that all in one go. I got through probably like the first third of the game, so that's still fun. Very good game.
Nice. How far through did you get? How far through did you get previously before you restarted?
Oh, not even where the demo ended, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's me for the week.
Good. So, should we open another beer?
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll probably get into both of your thoughts on the Falconeer.
Yes. Well, whilst you do that, I'm going to use the loo.
Fair enough.
Okay.
You do you, Lou. You do Lou. Whoa.
Lou.
Yeah, that's fair.
Aadil.
Hey.
We'll come back to you.
I've got the Stu Mostow milk stout, Salamander milk stout, chocolate milk stout. I'm gonna say that all. It's a 5.7% milk stout from Brewer Stu Mostow. In Wroclaw. I never know how to pronounce that in Poland. Wroclaw. It's a 5.7% chocolate milk stout. I thought the weather's sort of finally turned. I will just do a couple thicker stouts. Both milk stouts. I didn't realize the White Hag was a milk stout. It calls itself a pastry stout, and I never really know what that means. And the fact that it had lactose in it makes me think they just liked the sound of chocolate orange pastry stout, but maybe it's an industry term. I'm just not good enough to know. But yes, so this is it. I'm gonna give it a pour while you tell me what you've got.
Yeah, I've also got a milk stout. This is from Boundary.
Nice.
It's called You're Not Getting Any. It is a 9% Imperial Oatmeal Milk Stout, which has blueberries. It says a timeless, collaborative classic with our friends at Zapato. I don't know what that is. I don't know who they are, but it's a collaboration beer between Boundary and Zapato. And that's it. That's all I get. Nice.
Oh,
kind of grungy.
I was gonna say quite dark can.
Sticking along Boundary's lines of having that kind of grungy can art. This is a little more solid, actually, in kind of what they put out. But that's what I've got. What I'm cracking open. Have you had a chance to have a sniff? Have you had a chance to have a taste yet?
So immediately, I would say this one. The nose is quite a bit more subtle. Getting a little more roasted notes and malts off of it than the last one, which was that vanilla and orange, sort of overtaking everything in the nose. Here, you could tell it's a stout. You can smell some of those more roasted malty notes. Not a lot else. Without looking at the ingredients, that's the word I'm looking for. I as soon as it had vanilla, I'm like, oh, maybe there's vanilla, but I think it's actually just the sweetness coming off of it from the lactose.
Yeah.
So this is only like 0.2% 2% or something. Thicker, more alcohol than the other one, but it is much more velvetier. It's got more viscous. Immediately hits the tongue and starts coating. And it's just like the nose was saying, much more malt forward. And also, it leaves with a bit of a big bitter tang to it, which I wasn't quite expecting. The chocolate really kind of doesn't show up until the finish. Is sort of the rust is fading. You're like, oh, okay, there's some of that chocolate. And I think it's paired really well with a light amount of lactose. Like it's a milk stout, but I'm not getting super amounts of sweetness, which is why you've got this like very malt forward stout taste in the beginning. And then you're like, all right, so there's some sweetness, and it kicks in when the rest fades. I would have liked a little some of those malts to be a little less generic, or maybe a little more roasted, just to give a kind of a balance to the sweet and chocolate. But the malts they've chosen kind of just are there, and it's like a malty taste, and then it fades, and then the only thing that sort of prevents it from just being sort of milk chocolate is this almost metallic-y tang of bitterness near the end.
Yeah, okay.
Which, not a big fan of the metallic-y part, but I like the rest. I like that it's got something hanging back so that it's not just sort of sweet chocolate. And I like that that's when you notice the sweet chocolate kind of was there with the sort of non-roasted malt full foretaste. It's just that was so strong that you didn't quite notice it. So, yeah. Not a lot else to say. I think, like I said, I wish the malts were a little less one-dimensional, but they're there and they're doing a good job of being a multi front end.
Yeah, cool, nice. It smells, it sounds different to how my milk stout it smells even from the off. Definitely getting that sweetness. That kicks through, but there's this slight note to it as well, which takes something away. And it's not like it's not like a sour note. It's not like the lactose is doing something it shouldn't. But there's kind of something alongside this. Lucy, this is a boundary milk stout. You're not getting any. It's called 9%. It poured with a little bit of a brown head, which was quite carbonated as well, but it is just gone completely from this.
What strength was this one?
9.
Yeah, versus my 5.7.
They call it an imperial oatmeal milk stout, but actually, it's really sweet. They said it's got blueberries. It absolutely does. That blueberry is really coming through, and it gives it a hint of being more like a port, or like something like a barley wine rather than a stout. And yes, it's a milk stout, but that lactose isn't that creamy, viscous kind of element to it. It's just a little bit sweeter, and combined with that blueberry, it definitely puts it in that more like fortified wine area of taste than it does of a milk stout, which is definitely why I'm getting that almost kind of like tannin nose to it a little bit, like blueberries with a little bit of a leathery, almost woody kind of note to it. I think that's what's throwing me off slightly on the nose, but in the flavor you don't get that through. It's very much blueberry. It's very, very sweet. That runs through, that lasts, still sticking around. The same flavor is still sticking around. I mean, it lasts and lasts and lasts, which is nice, but there's not much more going on than a very blueberry, very sweet stout. Doesn't have a Doesn't have the viscosity in the body that you would expect from a 9% stout. Doesn't have the creaminess and the mouthfeel that you would expect from an oatmeal stout. Doesn't have the alcohol burn that you might expect from an imperial stout. It very much feels more like a barley wine.
Oh, interesting.
Or a barley wine or a port, something around that kind of area. You don't have the alcohol burn, but it's like super light. It feels really light. But the blueberry taste is very pleasant. It's kind of it, really. Not getting any roasted notes, not getting any coffee, not getting any chocolate off of this at all. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe more tastes will come when the double IPA has left, or the triple IPA.
That's fair.
Has left me a little bit in about sort of 10 minutes time or so. I'll sip this and go, oh, there it is. But we'll return back to that towards the end of the episode when we round out what we've been drinking. But now, Aadil.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about this week?
A game I played, I guess. I played the Falconeer earlier today on stream. I even played it longer than the stream normal window.
Nice. Yeah, we were going for a while.
And because I wanted it to be better.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's the best way of saying it is I gave an extra few minutes. Well, actually, it was going to be a shorter stream, but I gave an extra half hour and a bit. So you are a pilot who pilots a falcon. You're a dude riding on top of falcon. It's got sort of a very Wind Waker type animated aesthetic with some really
cel shaded slightly,
yeah, slightly cel shaded, but not with the thick the borders that you normally get on cel shaded. So it's the same idea though, the same type of aesthetic. The water is animated in a slightly different way, but still very much like this is animation and the skybox as well. But the clouds are actually, I took a couple moments to just be like, oh, because you're flying. The clouds are properly volumetric, and they seem kind of out of place. They look kind of like real fog and clouds, in this very animated aesthetic, and it works really well, especially because when you look through the clouds and see the skybox, it at nighttime, it looks like someone splatter painted the skybox, because it's a lot of the stars are kind of connected in a sort of blobby, versus what you would think they would be individual twinkling bits, because it's just doing that hand-drawn type style aesthetic.
Yeah. It's a really good looking game.
Yeah, it is.
Because I've played it on Xbox. You played it on PC. Deal with Xbox controller. We'll get more into that. But yeah, right off the bat, it's a really, really, really good looking game.
Yeah. And it
especially when you're flying through these really dark clouds and have lightning and you've seen this shift in weather and going from light areas, just clear skies ish light blue, versus this in these rough seas with the lightning storm and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Very much so. Yeah,
I really like the style of the game.
Can't stress much how much I like the aesthetic. And again, you're in this feudal-ish empire-based world where everyone flies and maybe not feudal. It's about Age of Piracy, but with flying eagles and airships, basically. So pre-steampunk, I would say. Right? It's not really steam, but it's something's keeping these things aloft.
There are zeppelins in the sky and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's got that, as you say, steampunk adjacent look to it.
Yeah, and so you start the game and you are you're a trainee, learning how to fly a falcon, and that's the prologue. And then you do some quote unquote simple tasks, and they warn you to be careful because your last task is right where the Empress is on a ship for a meeting, and then lo and behold, you finish the task and the Empress is attacked, and it turns out the ship is gone, and oh no, I guess she's been killed, and then it cuts you to chapter 1 and you pick a new character, and you are not joining the Empire anymore. You're joining sort of other group of people who are not really resistance but not the Empire, it seems.
Yeah, it's got a weird structure to it where all the chapters are open from the beginning. I think it's just a case of it's even weirder because it's like, yes, you've got all these characters that are unlocked in like the later levels that have better stats and stuff like that. And I didn't quite get a grasp of, which faction should I play as? Which Falcon should I therefore choose? Like, they have all these different factions that you can cycle through. But I didn't exactly get a good indication of what makes them different, and maybe if one is better tailored to a different map or a different chapter, and I didn't quite grasp of that.
It's even weirder because like this is like there are weird bugs or UI confusions because like Ben was in the back seat for the first hour of my stream, and like we're like, cool, let's pick a person. And it gave you a choice of 4 different names with different pictures, but it kept cycling through, but then their appearance would shift as you cycle back through the names, but then underneath it would be an appearance slider, which would then pick between 2 different like mashups of your current character. So it's like, do you want this person with their hair up and glasses, or hair down and no glasses? Yeah. But then that's it, just left or right person. But then you go back up and you hit right 4 times, and you'll go through the 4 choices and get the same name, same sort of basic like physiology, like skin tone and male, female, same name, but now they look very different. And then you go down to appearance, and now it's, well, this guy's got a beard, so now it's like that beard with long hair or short hair. And it was very unclear what the appearance slider was doing, because it just seemed like a different randomization. But the top was randomizing anyway between the 4 names, and none of the stats changed because you were in prologue mode. So it was all the same. It was just like, what person do you want? But also, there's no random button. So I guess if you just scroll through those 4 names until you find the name that you like matching something-ish you like. But also it doesn't matter because you have this character for ideally 15 minutes. Like, and then when you get to your actual character, you don't have as many options. You have an option of 2 different people, basically, based on the class, not appearance. And the appearance slider, like, the options on that are way fewer, even though you're now in chapter 1 and you're going to be with this character for a lot longer. And, like, things like that were just real strange. And there was, like, same thing with interacting with people in the shops. Like, there's no, like, tooltips. And it was very unclear when and how you could interact with people and why. You just kind of had to bang your head against it, and it didn't feel like it was you're trying to explore, because these are UI elements, not explore the world and find out.
I think the game needs better onboarding.
Yeah.
Like, even as I was playing through the prologue, which is ostensibly the tutorial, like, when I missed a prompt, like, I never quite knew how to, like, do a dive and then get a momentum and then, like,
it was the same for you, wasn't it? Like, in that,
I figured out the dive like after Ben left the stream.
Yeah, because I missed that prompt and then I didn't see it again. I was like, how do I do this? And yeah, like, I shall we talk about the controls?
Yeah, I mean, so the basic gameplay mechanic is you have a health bar and you have like a dash bar, which I kept calling sprint because it's sprint. And it's like left bumper and sprint, and if we'll start zooming you forward, and the only move I found useful in the entire game was when you're sprinting and you tapped left or right, you would then do a barrel roll and almost do a 180. So the only way to like have a dogfight with other Falconeers was basically zoom past, like try and like attack them and then pass them and then spin around and try and hit them again until you can start tracking them, and you're basically doing a tight loop in a circle, hopefully hitting them eventually, but they'll bank left and you have to like time it. Other than that, it's mostly just crap shooting. Hope you hit them / let your AI win, and this is where the controls really come to bear. So
I could not grapple them in the time that I spent with it. I went into the menus more times than I played the game, trying to get something that worked for me, but nothing worked for me. And I was just like, come on, this seems so cool. I'm not a massive fan of like dogfighting games, mostly because they're seen from like first person, and that would just I'd be crumpled on the floor, from motion sickness. So I was like, this looks beautiful, seen from like a third person view of your Falcon. Let me try and grasp this as best as I can, but I couldn't find, like, through inverting the y-axis, inverting the x-axis, from changing all the individual like buttons on the controller, I just couldn't get anything. And I will speak to the fact that it's great for customization. You can assign different, but I think it's really good.
I mean, my problem was there was at no point was there sensitivity sliders.
Right. I didn't think to look at that.
So
that's a shame if that's not in there.
Because you can remap everything, and they have different like presets of like left stick aim, fly, right stick aim, fly, and different ways of doing mouse and keyboard, which are really cool presets that you can then tweak. But ultimately, the first thing I wanted to do was, I want to make this a way more thuddy stick control. I can't. So now I just have to try and do small movements because that's what the game wants, and there's no way around it. And why this is important is the default. The default is basically your camera's on your right stick, your left bumper and trigger are like your dive and your break and dive, which is like this move. Your trigger basically makes you rear up, and if you don't do anything, you'll go up a bit of air, or you can then hit down or forward, and then you will do a full dive. Then there's the sprint button, which is your bumper. The one thing that it didn't really tell you properly was like the only way you can build up your sprint or your dash gauge is by going downwards at a steeper angle. And if you're not diving, you can still just aim down and slowly and build it up at a medium pace. But then
can you not go into like those whirlwinds?
Oh yeah.
Or is that
the whirlwind just gives you height, and then you dive down into. You use the height to basically but then you so that's the only way you can get dash, and obviously in combat you really need it. But the other thing is if you're like trying to gain height while going straight, as soon as you sort of cross a kind of minimal threshold, you start using your dash meter. So you can't really climb without using it. So it kind of staples you pretty close to the ground unless you have a long time and you like use the entire trip to get height. But then at that point you're starting with a full dash meter, and the combat's going to be lower down, so there's no point in starting high because you're just going to dive down, not build any dash meter, then hit your target, flatten out, and you might as well stay there. But the real problem, so that's just like the mechanics. The real problem is your left stick is steering, but it is also aiming. And basically the way they do it is you've kind of got, from the center of where your reticle would be from your aiming, you've got like a couple inches of screen real estate, which you can scroll around in to aim, that kind of doesn't really largely affect your trajectory, but it kind of does even on small movements. But you can kind of get away with, like, I want to go in this very vague direction, and I've got a bit of play to aim in that direction and shoot, and then if my quarry sort of banks left, I can drag my reticle there and it'll make my falcon go left, but that's probably what I want to do, but not always. But it just makes everything really
it's
zoomy.
like unwieldy, yeah, because I just wanted, okay, let me move the reticle independently of where I'm steering, because when I'm going up, just to get more height, but the enemy's down there, I don't want my reticle to be shining up there. It's like, that's not where I'm trying to shoot. Like, and I just couldn't reconcile those two things. Like, no matter how many times I change the settings in the controls,
I think it's just because like that's the way they designed it.
The way the game is designed.
Yeah,
but it's like, haven't we figured out how to do this with like all the games that came previous? They've made their statement in making this different in the fact that it's like, this is a different take on dogfighting.
Yeah.
But do the fundamental controls where I can play it. I thought it was just like, I'm not used to these games. It's me. It's not you game. It's me. But seeing how you struggled with the controls earlier today as well, then makes me feel a bit better.
Oh yeah, it was, and for a while there was like completely miserable. It was just like, well, I'm on stream and there's a few people watching, and I've got Ben, thankfully, helping me not go crazy. But yeah, and like there was this. So I actually think I found the prologue easy. Thought it was okay. Like
I kept dying when I had to pick up that bomb and land it on that ship because I couldn't, like, as you say, I couldn't lift up with enough gap between me and the boat and still look at the boat. I didn't know where the boat is because I couldn't see it.
So my cheat was first run, go basically like strafing run, and then drop the bomb and die. But it gave me I saw the size of the explosion, and the next time I cleared the explosion by like millimeters. I was just like, okay, I know the explosion's this big. The hitbox is probably a little bigger. I'll just immediately fly up and hit the let go button and hope it doesn't blow me up, and it didn't, and I passed.
That didn't work for me, and those seas were like, it was all black, and I was like, where's this boat? I couldn't see, and it was just like, that falcon was like a fried turkey, like, like 4 times in a row.
Flaming towards the sea.
But I mean, that also immediately brought to the fore the checkpointing problem of the game, which is it wants you to go through several like preliminary steps of flying to this, that, the other thing, or just flying for a while to a place and then give you the fight, which you're probably going to die in. And there's no checkpointing except start again. And if it's not a main mission, you like your mission givers, side quest givers just give you a random thing. So it's like, oh, I want to try that fight again. I'd like to get better at fighting. Oh, they're not offering that anymore. But also it takes
than I expected. Like, it's got like, it's like an open hub world where you're traveling between these distinct landmarks and points and picking up jobs in between. I thought it'd just be like level by level, like Ace Combat-ish, like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be cool if you didn't have to like grind your way through to get the money to buy permits for the new places, the other places. And actually, my other big complaint outside of controls, which I think we should still finish that discussion, because I think there's a little more there to be said, but is that it was like 3 or 4 basic mission types, and I went to new place and it was the same types, like deliver the message. Okay, so you just fly this thing, you're flying slow, someone attacks you right at the end, so you drop the thing, otherwise they'll shoot it out of your hands and you fail the mission. You dogfight this one pirate, then you pick up the thing and finish the mission. Or it's like, there's just like a bunch of missions that are kind of the same type, and I was like, I don't see variety in the first 3 towns. I don't think I'm going to see them in subsequent ones.
And when basically got on like the bird intercom and just listened to like all the different radio channels, it's like, you know, who needs help, who needs this falcon, you know, chaperoning the ship or something like that. It's just like, just heard static on the other end. It's like, oh, there's nobody in this town that needs help. I don't know if it was just where I was in the world or just...
I didn't even use a bird radio, so I don't even know what that
I was
is.
patching him. Like, who needs Falcon 918? Come help them.
Yeah.
Pick up this, boy out the sea.
Oh, fucking boys. Fucking boys, man. So like the big mission that drove me crazy was fly for 5 minutes going through 3 specific points, then dogfight 2 or 3 different pirate falcons and a ship, and it was just impossible. And it was a plot mission, and I like ask Ben. I couldn't even get an enemy to a third of its health before I died, let alone. Then I found out I was on normal mode, so yeah. So I turned it down to easy after Ben left. And I did a bunch of other quests, but the problem with those quests they all involved flying for a bit and dogfighting one thing. And I had also bought the mutagen for my Falcon, which allowed health regrow, and in easy mode, that health regrows twice as fast. But also, the hits are at least a half lighter. And so it was like, there's kind of no way for me to die. And I figured out the best way to dogfight was to sort of do the strafe run, flip around when I'm close to them, just kind of spin in a circle with them, basically, which must look really cool if you were not in the thing, because you're like circling each other and I'm hitting you. But the reason why I'm hitting you is because auto-targeting, when the reticle's close to them, you'll auto-target and probably hit them if you're close. So then now I'm close enough for the auto-target to hit them, and I'm just spinning in a circle, firing wildly, and hitting them 60% of the time or less, mostly less. And then I kill the person, and I feel like I didn't really aim at all. So why is there aiming in this game? Because it was like the only way I can consistently hit an enemy is if I abuse the fact that if I'm close and I'm kind of within range, like I'm kind of steering at them, I'll automatically hit them.
Mate, the way you were flying, one look at you, those enemies would be like, this guy's kamikaze, he's crazy. Let's go in the opposite way, lads.
Oh, man. But that was the only way you could consistently kill them. Or the other thing was, on the missions where you had your AI, just let him clear. That guy, I was just literally like, there's a button that says, attack this thing. And I ended missions, and I think it's just last one to hit them gets the credit for downing them. But like, the last 5 missions I did, I had 0 kills. And it's like, you fought like 5 or 6 people. Nah, you didn't kill fucking anyone. Your AI did it all. I was like, why am I playing this game? Anyway, so like, I think there's a lot more work that needs to be done on variety, but also obviously the controls. And the thing I wanted to bring up was I did try the mouse and keyboard. Because what I was thinking, and like other people in the stream, Ben and I think Radari was also there, were like, what if you tried using your mouse to aim? Because you seem to not be able to use your joystick to aim. And this is where everything went even weirder. Because the default mouse controls are like fundamentally different than the gamepad controls. So the mouse is now aim and camera, and WASD or arrow keys are your movement controls. So like W and S are like up and down pitch. And A and D are your left and right banking or spinning if you want to use shift, which is your dash. So you would think, okay, now I guess I have the ability to like just charge at them and kind of aim, but it's so fundamentally different from the other thing because now your left stick is half, like the mouse is half left stick, half right, all right stick, but also you can only use, you can't, so you can, there's no way you could look behind you because now aim and camera are on the mouse, which means you can actually, your camera movement is limited to where you can aim, which is not behind you because of the physics of the game. So you can, and it helped a little with like, if I was like charging at someone, I could more accurately shoot my bullets at them or my lightnings at them, But also, if you do that, you will die in this game because they are infinitely better shots at you. And if you're doing a one-on-one head-on run, they'll kill you. So then it was like, okay, so the only position where this helps my aim is when I'm in position to, like, when I'm not moving frantically, and maybe I could get better at flying, but also I've lost all my ability to quickly look behind me, around me, and find them. Oh, wow. So not only is it optimized for gamepad and flight stick, it's like their first mouse keyboard mode is completely unplayable, except slightly better aiming, but also that slightly better doesn't really matter because if you're far away, you're still kind of missing. And if you're close, the auto aim will guide those bullets anyway. So it was just so messy. Like, so messy. And
that's
so
why I said, like, the controls have, like, good customization, because for a console game, usually you can never touch those.
yeah, but no.
Of course, when you're playing on PC, you want that.
But again, there was still no sensitivity options, right? Like, I still didn't have mouse sensitivity, which is a standard in PC games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to like it. I played the last couple missions. I even upped the difficulty back up to normal in the last couple missions, and still passed them. But a lot of that was realizing that if I just sort of kite for a while, the AI will do some damage. And of course, I realized my sort of tight spin auto aim thing, which is a strategy and it works, but it's very unsatisfying because they give me an aiming reticle. And then the only way I can, like, semi-consistently do damage is if I kind of ignore it and just sort of use the aiming reticle as a guide for where I should fly at, and then just hold down the trigger. And it sucks because there's really cool things, like the way you reload your weapons is you fly into a storm because you're lightning based.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so you fly into a storm, and then in another place where, like, the signposting was really bad, because, like, I did that and, like, some of my things were red and it wasn't clear if that meant they were empty or they were about to overload, and they said if you overload, do a dive. And there was like, do I dive into the water? No, that didn't help. Oh, that's actually what they meant was the wind of the dive would cool it off, not actually diving in the ocean. Turns out that doesn't do it, because if I was too close and I dive in the ocean, things still all red. And, like, little things like that where, like you said, the onboarding are these weird voice clips that don't have tooltips that you can't really look up again. There's no actual inventory I could find. The only thing I could find was when I was in a shop, I could be like, this is what I currently have equipped. And, like, all these little things were just like, this is just not a finished game. It feels really unpolished and really confusing, even if I was just bad at it.
From that, I think I know what you mean. You're saying that. I'm just saying clarification, not unpolished as in, it's buggy or anything like that. Just there could have been more refinement to.
These are not bugs. These are these are like weird design choices that make it cumbersome.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but all that being said, one dude made it, which is incredible.
It is incredible. Yeah.
Despite our complaints, I'm just like.
I mean, I think that's another reason.
That talent. So,
I think that's another reason why I really wanted it to. I wanted these not to be the things I didn't like. Right? Because it's like, one dude's making it. It's really pretty. A lot of work has gone into it, and it's like these base design decisions, like how do you onboard? How much information do you give? Things like the map has no. Like, it'll give you a direction, but you have no idea how long you're going to fly in that direction, because it doesn't give you, like, any distance markers or even like it just says, here's the line you have to take.
It's a small mini map, so you can't really see that far. It'd be nice if you could expand it.
Yeah, and
like the click of a button,
or even hitting pause or start, right, and going into the main menu and seeing your objective. But that like the main map, like when you want to look at the entire world of, has no icons except cities, basically places you can land. And then it's like, okay, I know I need to go roughly this way. They were all babbling in their voice things. I think they said this place and it's kind of on this vector. Is that where I'm going? But, like, what sucked most about, like, not knowing how much time I had was I found myself within a few missions not flying for the fun of it, because it's like, I don't know how far I have to go, so I'm just gonna get to the right height with a full dash meter and just like let go. Versus if I knew it was like gonna be like a couple minutes, right? Like it's a few 100 kilometers or whatever, I would be like, cool, I'm gonna bank around and do all kinds of fun stuff, which is what I did in the first few missions. But it became very obvious, or it became very unobvious how long I had, and so it was just kind of like, then I'm just gonna go here. And again, it sucks. So like, I usually lament fast travel because if the game is well designed, I kind of want to travel, and it's like I'm flying a friggin' Falcon. I should want to fly back, even to explore. And again, within 2-3 missions, it was like, so glad I can finish the mission, and instead of flying back because it's time to return, just hit start, fly home, immediately appear, whole day, land. And it's like, okay, so now I'm not doing the thing. The whole point is like I'm this weird open world flying a Falcon, and I'm just not flying the Falcon when I can. And I'm lamenting dying in a mission because it means I have to fly the Falcon for 5 minutes before dying at this place. Like, something's missing here, and I like it just and that's I think outside of the controls, I think that's the bit that really showed that something wasn't hitting for me, was that I was happy to fast travel and really annoyed when I died because I knew I had to fly for 5 minutes, but it's a fly game. Ooh, something's gone wrong. Anyway,
yeah,
it's just disappointing because I didn't know a lot about it. Started up, looked beautiful. The first couple like drills made me like, oh, okay, so I'm bad at this, but that's cool. I'll figure it out, or maybe I won't. And then it became very clear that like there were challenges to the control schema that seemed beyond just me not being good at controllers.
I'm just looking at the press guide, and apparently you can zoom in and zoom out of the minimap on the D-pad. So I'm guessing that's in the area?
It must be up and down because D-pad left is telling your AI to attack someone.
Yeah,
but
up
like,
and down is
okay,
these things.
No, I'm just saying, correcting myself.
yeah. I mean, but also
also
doubling down on what you did like about it, which is like the onboarding, right? So they might have said it and we both missed it, or
Maybe.
or they just didn't say it, but like, that sucks.
It's probably a good summary for what you're both saying about the game, that you didn't know that this was a
feature.
Was a thing, unfortunately,
unfortunately, and you know,
as you say, it's upsetting because I saw it and I was like, this looks beautiful. I thought it would just. I'm not too enthused about the structure of it, that open world kind of thing, and I just can't grapple the controls at the minute. So
it's fair.
Need a guide. I need someone on, like, as I was saying to Aadil earlier, I need a Polygon article where it's like, here's how you customize the Falcon.
This is the best setup for all of this.
Here's how you make this
I'm not going to go
playable.
to Reddit because somebody's going to shout at me and tell me to get like a Thrustmaster flight stick. So I'm not even going to bother with that.
Mate, are you not sat atop a Falcon whilst you play this game? I mean, Falcons are pretty small, so it's probably not advisable to do that.
I mean, these are also giant Falcons, to be fair.
Yeah. But he's gotten decent reviews, hovering around, 70%.
So I actually wonder, so they say it's optimized for controller and flight stick. I think it's really secretly only optimized for flight stick.
Yeah.
I mean, having said that, I don't really play flight stick games,
Flight Simulator?
Yeah, but it also seems like a flight stick, like dogfighter type thing, would still give you a way of aiming outside of aiming your gun outside of aiming your vehicle, and I think that's the thing that ultimately is the biggest problem with the game. The entire control schema problems, I think, fundamentally ripple out of that. But
I think if that one issue was addressed, it'd be infinitely more playable.
Yeah,
just that one thing.
So I'm actually kind of curious if in the next little while, patches come out, etc. If maybe there is, like you said, a way of doing it, because we know that from the mouse keyboard setup, I tried for a couple missions that wasn't great, but the camera and the aiming were
more independently.
But like, so we know aiming can be slightly different from vehicle direction because so maybe there is a way of just forcing that. But anyway, again, my secondary complaint of like, are these just going to be the same 4 sets of quests, different skins, different starting points? A little worried about that, but if the fighting was fun, I wouldn't care, I guess is the thing. Like, if the actual heart of the gameplay seems every mission you have, a pirate / bad guy will show up. Like, you're delivering a thing. There'll be a bad guy right at the end goal, and if you don't drop the thing, he'll shoot at it, and it'll probably break, and you'll lose the mission. So drop the thing in the ocean, shoot him down, pick it up, finish your mission. It tells me they want this to be a dogfighting game.
Yeah.
And so like that needs to be
just the way like the camera just snaps back when to front and center as soon as you like move it to like the left of you or right of you. It just doesn't have that degree of freedom that you need, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you're flying through the sky like 360 degrees. It's like you want that freedom of... You don't want the camera always to be front and center with the controls. I mean, with the aim reticle and stuff like that. So I don't know. I really want to speak to somebody who's like got the controls down and reviewed this game. I'm like, how? How did you do it? What's your secret? Tell me. Yeah.
Maybe we'll find someone. Maybe someone we know has played this. They've got it down exactly. We'll investigate a little bit further. That's probably a good place for us to finish this week. Hopefully the Falconeer kind of opens up a little bit more, and it hasn't turned you both off from playing too much.
If I can figure out how to wield that Falcon, I will. But yeah, congratulations to the dev. Like, it's optimized for the Series S and X, so it's like running at 60 and 4K and all of that from a lone developer. Like, doff my cap off to him.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Good. Let's talk about the beers that we have drank to finish us out this week. Lucy, you had the one.
Yeah, very good.
You enjoy it all the way through.
I did indeed. It was nice just to nurse and like not want to like just not back. It was had a nice bitterness and nice creamy texture to it. Still getting all those like deep, rich chocolatey malts. Nice bit of coffee on it. Yeah, it's a really good beer from Arbor. There's not much more to say. Everyone knows how good they are at this point.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. All they should do. If you don't know how good Arbor are, just order a couple of their beers and you
I should do that actually. Yeah, and I don't think they don't really do many stouts, do they? So
no. This is definitely, and it's something I'm going to track down. I think to some success. Hopefully,
it's really good. Nice. Good beer.
Good. Aadil, out of the two that you had, did you have a preference this week?
Yeah, it's a little weird this week. I thought originally it would be the Salamander milk stout, chocolate milk stout, just because I like the tastes involved more. But the more I had it, the more I think it's got to be the White Hag chocolate orange pastry stout, the Dark Druid, because it was just a little more dynamic. It was just like the biggest thing with the Salamander milk stout, chocolate milk stout was, it was like. It did some things, but they were, like I said, like it was kind of like a flat multi-taste, finishing with a flat sort of chocolate slightly sweet taste, but like none of it was, so like it had an okay taste curve, nothing to wow you, but it was melded well together, but it was ultimately kind of like forgettable. While there's moments of the taste curve of the White Hag that I might not have. Might have been like, oh, that's weird or whatever, but it's doing something interesting, and like it wasn't bad. It was just like, like that orange is a little in your face for a bit, but everything's sort of still well made, well crafted. The transitions are good. It's kind of just like I guess it boiled down to it's more interesting, and this week I value that more, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. That's fair. I think I'm going to echo those sentiments, picking the first beer, but also a beer that was a little more interesting with the North Deya Triple IPA. The Boundary Imperial Oatmeal Milk Stout didn't present a huge amount to me. It was very blueberry. It was very sweet. I mentioned when I was drinking it, perhaps the Triple IPA was having a bit of an effect, but even through the taste, I still wasn't getting a huge amount from it. Not getting any roasted notes, no chocolate, no coffee, nothing coming through that you would expect from a stout. Blueberries and sweetness were its main components. Whereas that North Deya collab, it had some nice tropical fruits. It had a bit of a dankness to it. It had a nice earthy, grassy bitterness to it, and nothing punched you too much. It was a triple IPA, and you knew that the alcohol was there. It felt like a big beer, but it didn't hit you in that way. It was easy enough for a big beer, and flowed very, very well. So I think it's very well made. It's very interesting, and it was definitely the flavor that I preferred this week as well. So it kind of sits above definitely for me. So that was the North Brewing Company Deya collaboration triple IPA. I'm feeling it. Especially then after a 9% stout.
Nice.
Which is it's great. A little buzz. It's okay. See what the rest of the evening brings. Probably bed. Brush my teeth, have a squash, and go to bed. But we'll see. Who knows? Lucy, if people want to get hold of you and talk to you about the games they're playing, or tell you why Tetris Effect was the best game of 2000 and whatever year it released, how do they do that?
18?
Maybe.
Don't, because I refuse to believe that. Best game of 2018 was obviously The Quiet Men. And Juicy Least Night.
Good. Aadil, if people want to talk to you and let you know how they're flying their Falcons, how do they do that?
You can reach me at the Omniarch, TheOmniarch, on all of the things except Twitch, where there's an underscore where you would believe it would be.
Perfect. I'm at Nova_47, almost everywhere. We are at Tanked Up Cast on both Twitter and Instagram. We use Twitter a lot more. Instagram's very unloved. It has been for a long time.
Message us on there if we should start reposting.
Sure.
I mean, we might not, but let us know that it's worth our while.
Absolutely. You can also all go to outoflives.net to look at articles, listen to other shows. Aadil, you and I have started a new show called Geek Out Weekly, where we're going to be diving into a topic as, pretty casual observers of most things.
That's WEAKLY. Because we might be geeking out, but it is weekend. There's definitely no... it's gatekeeping. That's the word I'm looking for. No gatekeeping.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Exactly. Definitely. Trying to come across... definitely not casually, but,
I mean, not
taking it in from a perspective where we haven't got in-depth. We're not part of the fandom. We're just going to chat about these things. Things that we enjoy, that maybe you would enjoy too. You can check that out on Twitch on Mondays from midday, or we will get a podcast together this week, which will also go up as well. And you can go to outoflives.net towards the end of the week, where you will find this episode and also find the first episode where we talk about the Mandalorian, the first season, which was an excellent discussion. You can also find
second season out now.
Yeah, we're 2 episodes in, I think.
Yeah, two episodes in. You can get all of us on Twitter as well. I think we're Out of Lives Network.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is probably where you're watching us on Twitch right now as well. Out of Lives Network on Twitch, or Out of Lives on YouTube as well. Do all of those things, subscribe to all of those things, rate and review all of those things. It's very appreciated. Thank you very much for listening to us. We hope that you can join us on the Twitch to come and chat to us as well. Tell us about the beers you've been drinking, tell us about the games that you've been playing, and we can chat to you whilst we are recording. That's all of the bullshit and gumph. I'm going to go to sleep now.
Yeah, review the podcast and the new one if you have a chance. And don't forget to follow, like, subscribe on the whatever medium you're on. Do the thing. It's our new tagline. Whatever medium you're on, do the thing. You know what it is. If it's iTunes, rate and review. If it's YouTube, like, subscribe or whatever. Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Like us.
Like and subscribe. Thanks. We've been Tanked Up. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
www.outoflives.net